Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 207, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. It's August for just a little while longer. My name is Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
Hey.
Hey. Wow, still August. That's kind of... I just feel like the last two titles of our August podcast have been like, it's August.
Yeah,
I
guess that'll be the subhead of this one, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on? We have lots to talk about, but what new media have you been imbibing?
Well, I got around to watching an HBO movie called Bad Education that aired, I think, in April or May or something. I thought it looked interesting, and it just didn't feel like, anything immediate I needed to check out. But one night I remembered it and was like, hey, let's go see what this is. And I really enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. It's the IMDb description says, the beloved superintendent of New York's Roslyn School District and his staff, friends, and relatives become the prime suspects in the unfolding of the single largest public school embezzlement scandal in American history. And this is just one of those movies that you and I love, where it's sort of like it's a true story, and it's handled in this really stylish, interesting way. But it's not drowning in its own style, but it's enough to still make it cinematic, and just add probably cinematic flourishes to this true story to just make it kind of this. It's like Election, I suppose.
That's the vibe I got. Yeah,
but slightly less quirky.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely still in the same vein, and it has these really interesting characters and great performances all around, particularly by Hugh Jackman. Playing the superintendent of this school, which at first it's a little jarring because he's so damn handsome, but then that's kind of part of his character in a weird sort of way. He's this very composed, tailored person, and then there's a thread that gets pulled that's unraveling, and it's just it's fun, and the tension ratchets up, and I don't know, it's just kind of this crackling little true crime light tape.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, so I would definitely recommend that one.
That is on my list. It has been like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch that one of these days. So hearing you say that is just lighting a fire under me a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's what you talk about with Hugh Jackman. I feel like I see trailers for movies like this, and even I think it was called The Contender, The Candidate, I forget, where he played Gary Hart.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen, which I feel like I should.
That's another one that I've been meaning to, and I'm like, you have to imagine Hugh Jackman is so glad he doesn't have to be on that Wolverine diet anymore.
Yes.
I don't think there is a man on this earth who is more happy to just be able to have like a pizza than Hugh Jackman.
Yes, that is hilarious. Yeah. and just that type of movie. I mean, we keep saying it's sort of like one of the go-to news stories about movies these days, where it's like they just don't make movies like this, or they don't put these in theaters anymore, and they don't, but they are still making them, and I'm really glad that they are available through, in this case, HBO.
Yeah.
But you could imagine maybe 10 years ago this coming out and being sort of an awards movie, at least for...
Right.
I don't know a best picture per se, but certainly the performances. And Allison Janney, too, is really, really good in it. Ray Romano. There's a couple of, side characters also who I don't know who played them necessarily. They aren't names per se like these guys are, but they're very memorable, and they feel very... real and specific, and I really enjoyed them too. It's just a lot of texture going on with the characters and the story in this, and it's a really good watch. I recommend it.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm gonna. It's already on my list, but now I'm gonna move it closer to the top.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing what you think about it.
Yeah.
And then I finished what I said the last episode I had started, this video game documentary on Netflix called High Score,
which I'm just about done with too. I got one more episode.
Oh, funny. Yeah, I thought it was pretty darn good.
It's a good overview.
A good overview. Yeah. I think I wouldn't have minded if it went in a little deeper.
Yes.
Into some of this stuff. I know I'm just coming off of that book I mentioned also last time, the Console Wars, which is the deep dive into video game history and sort of the rival that cropped up between Sega and Nintendo, and it really gets into game production and timelines and, you know, attempts at games that never went. And I think I wouldn't have minded a little more nitty gritty. If I think they felt this desire each episode to go into a sort of human interest story. Mm-hmm. And I found some of them a little more effective than others. I wouldn't have minded if that time had been used a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of the history of video games during that time. You know, because one of them is about a kid who becomes the Nintendo champion of the world or whatever, and that's great. But then there's another episode with another champion of the world. I'm like, okay, and then you know, I think they do 3 of those stories.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I'm really happy for these people, and it's really nice. But you know, it started to get a little bit repetitive, and I found when we would go back to those sorts of things, like so back at the video game championship, I'm like, well, I
hear you.
You know, I was like, okay, like I mean, we already sort of saw this through another person, and I don't know, I wouldn't have minded that time being used
because they did it with Atari.
Yes.
Then with Nintendo, and then with Sega.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to its credit, also, what I did enjoy was they do take time to shine a light on people who are sort of unsung heroes in video game history.
That's more interesting to me.
I definitely agree, and I don't have his name in front of me, but they get into the history of the man who created the first console, like home console, which is a huge deal, like taking the arcade into your house. And you could put different cartridges to play different games. I mean, it changed everything. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool that you know, that man's story had never been told, and you know, you get to meet his family because he's since passed. But I enjoyed that stuff. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more deep dive into the people who contributed, maybe the unsung heroes who contributed to video games as we know it today.
Right.
But all that said, it is still a really entertaining watch, and like you say, a good overview that I didn't mind diving through.
It's very funny because just by chance on YouTube, one of the things that came up in my my recommendations was a video about the great E.T. fiasco.
Oh, right. Is it about the dig?
It included the dig, so the development of the game and also that. So it was like a good 15-minute thing. And then the next day, so I watched that with my kids, and then the next day we watched this, and the first episode, culminates with the ET thing. And these kids are like, oh, yeah, we remember where this happened. And I'm like, how many kids are like, authorities on like
right.
the ET Atari fiasco
of 82.
I have such distinct memories of that game.
Really? See, I might have been too young for that.
Yeah, because we had an Atari when I was living in Saudi Arabia, so
that makes sense. I didn't have one.
Yeah, so I it's very funny because nowadays, you get a licensed game, and the bare minimum expectation you have is, well, the thing that I play will look very much like the thing on the package.
Right.
Atari obviously was nowhere close to being able to do that, Mm-hmm. And so it was really a testament to the power of imagination, where you'd look at these squares arranged in a pattern, being like, well, that is obviously Indiana Jones,
right.
It's ridiculous. And so even with that lowered bar, I remember the E.T. game just being absolute nonsense.
Yeah, based on, you bought one of those Raspberry Pi things a couple years ago.
That's right.
So inspired by you, I bought one also. And it occurred to me, I probably have the E.T. game. So I booted it up and I tried it, and it is just so difficult and not fun.
Yeah, it has no connection to the movie.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
But, it makes sense because, as legend goes, this programmer had, weeks to create it when usually it takes months to make a game.
Things that I've watched, I wanted to mention this. This is a couple weeks ago, but the series finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. aired.
Yeah, I read about that. So how did that feel concluding? I mean, does it feel in any way tied to the sort of, in quotes, sort of finality that we experienced through Infinity War and Endgame, or is it kind of its own thing at this point? Or where in the timeline is it?
I mean, I suppose it lives in the main Marvel timeline. I mean, there's no reason to think it doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like the show, when it started, they hugged the MCU tight.
Yes, right.
You know, and as the series went on, there were like various machinations inside Disney that split Marvel in two. And so at that point, Marvel movies and Marvel TV might as well have been Marvel and DC,
Right.
But to their credit, I mean, the show kept plugging along, and I'm always like, because every year you got people on Twitter being like, "Is that show still on?" Doing that.
Right.
And I'm like, the show lasted 7 seasons, 136 episodes. I think it's okay to call it a success at that point.
Yeah.
Like, by any objective measure, that's a success.
Right.
And so for me, I was like, well, what's crazy is that this year there is no other MCU.
Right.
I mean, I think Black Widow is still on schedule for November, right? I think.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, right? I'm not camping out just yet. So what I said after watching the show, and I think what they did, because they were still sort of paying lip service to the MCU movies in that, like 2 seasons ago, they're on an adventure and they're like, they find out like Thanos is coming,
Oh, cool. Okay.
So they were still doing stuff, but what's interesting is that about halfway through, the creative personnel at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who at one point were like in the mix as far as all the movie plotting, were basically frozen out. So they're in the exact same boat as all of us, like having no idea what's going on, right? So
can you imagine? And you're making a Marvel show.
Exactly,
Yeah.
So they were in this position of being like, okay, let's like sort of acknowledge it while staying away from it so that we don't inadvertently step over each other. And so what they did over the last, what ended up being like 2 seasons, is like a bunch of time tripping type stuff that allows them to exist to the side of the snap and the 5-year jump and all of that.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Kind of clever, actually.
Yeah.
And now that the show is done, what I've said online is like, it's a completed thing now, beginning, middle, end, and yeah, it's worth watching. I think for people who are in the mood for a show with a solid ensemble, interesting stories that does live in sort of the Marvel that we're familiar with, it's this thing. It exists out there now. And can be judged as something. So I hope people will check it out. I guess that this has been my TED Talk in support of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Cool, nice.
I mean, think about this: the actor who's logged more Marvel hours than anyone else is Clark Gregg.
Right.
I mean, who'd have thunk?
The director
right?
of Choke.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's impressive,
Yeah.
He was like random guy in the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
And now look.
Yeah, that's good for him.
Yeah. And you mentioned Choke, by the way. That's that's a movie. He didn't just direct it. He wrote it.
Yeah, I think he's in it too, right? Like a little minor role or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was what's his name, right? Sam Rockwell, isn't he in that? He's
Yep.
That was like the same time that Iron Man came out.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was right around the same time. What's funny is I knew Clark Gregg before Iron Man from a sitcom he was on called The New Adventures of Old Christine.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
That was Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Right.
She of Watching Ellie fame. But it was a funny show, and he was like her ex-husband, who she had like a continuing relationship with, and it's just funny to see, like, you got your Robert Downey, you got your Hugh Jackman, whatever, but Clark Gregg, he's got the distance record in terms of hours logged,
Yeah, and he just in the films alone, I mean, he became like a beloved character.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not even just does he appear in each one, but he's a character that even with his limited cinematic screen time was really well loved.
And it's interesting because it gets to the whole question of quote unquote canon, right? Because you get people who say, well, if the movies don't acknowledge it, it's not canon, so I'm not going to watch it. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's your point of view, I guess that's fine, whatever. What am I going to argue with you about that? However, it's all fiction.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to be like, well, this story is real, but that story is imaginary? I'm like, I hate to break it to you, but it's all imaginary.
Right.
And as long as the story is consistent and qualitative within its world, who the hell cares what other stories it touches?
Right.
Right? I mean, am I wrong?
No, I agree.
So I don't know. The whole thing's on Netflix, or it will be soon, at least this final season. Check it out. I think if you wrote it off early, and by you I mean the general you, not you specifically, Brian. Might be worth a look.
Yeah, and it's like you said. I mean, in a year with a Marvel drought, if people are getting thirsty
for some MCU content, there it is.
There it is.
Right. Also, I want to keep people updated because I'm sure they're wondering. My ER rewatch is continuing.
Oh yeah, what season are you on now?
I am now a third of the way through season 12.
Yeah, okay.
12 of 15.
Wow. Okay.
I started this thing like late April.
Yeah.
And I've plowed through this.
Yeah. Well, that's been kind of cool having something that's this robust for you to dive into with all this time.
Yeah, pretty much like I have very little joy left in my life, and so the only things I anticipate are like, well, I get my ER in the morning, and maybe if I'm good, an ER before I go to bed.
Right.
And that's about it. It's crazy though, because 12 seasons in, we are now 2005, 2006.
Okay, wow.
Right? So I'm like mapping my own life, as it pertains to,
You just made me do the very same. I'm not watching. Yeah, like, whoa. Because I remember when it started and what life was like. And then in 2005, I know where I was. Wow.
So like where the show is at right now, beginning of fall of 2005, like I had just started teaching,
Yeah, you were married, living
crazy.
in California.
Yeah, it's nuts, But it's very interesting because we may have talked about this before, but for a show to achieve that kind of longevity is obviously impressive anyway. But I think really it speaks to how damn good the early years were. Because it never
to have the legs that it did.
Yeah, it never got like bad.
Yeah,
but it, I think it became. It was such a lightning bolt when it first started. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that level of oh my gosh, this is amazing was never going to be sustained, right?
Right.
So it sort of settled into a kind of consistency. But it says how high the bar was initially. That even settling into consistency was still at an elevated level.
Right. It created a trusted and well-liked universe.
Yeah. Right. I mean, to the point that, like, where we're at now, none of the original cast are left.
Wow.
So Noah Wiley's gone. It's just everybody.
It's a whole different show, but it isn't.
That's the weird thing. I mean, it's like if Saved by the Bell, the new class, happened during Saved by the Bell. Mm-hmm. Just gradually,
Wow.
And for those of you who play our movie film Saved by the Bell reference drinking game, take a shot. You're welcome. So it's so right now we're in the post Noah Wiley, pre John Stamos lull of ER.
Wait, actually, you're ringing a bell, but I had forgotten that John Stamos was on ER.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
Yeah, we have yet to encounter the magic that is John Stamos. So something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm already like kind of like sad in advance because I'm like, we got like 4 seasons left, and then what's left in my life, Brian? What do I have? My marriage, my kids.
No.
So we'll see. Yeah, should be fun.
Yeah.
Let's take a little break. We got some listener letters, and then we'll talk some trailers.
Cool.
And we are back, and we got a couple comments I want to share with you, Brian.
Oh, okay.
About the show. We got, this is from Maddie Feck on Twitter, at Maddie Amazing, and he says, this is directed at me, I typically listen to podcasts at 1.5 times speed. So normally, to me, you sound so energized and full of life. Today, I was listening at normal speed without realizing, and I thought, who the hell is this low-energy SOB?
I love that.
Which that is what my wife says to me every morning. So Maddie and my wife having a mind meld there. Yeah, it's funny because I've not done that, but one time I happened to, on our show actually, I toggled it by accident to half speed.
Right. I remember this. Yeah.
And it's like, it just sounds like two very nerdy drunk people.
I mean, and you're not kidding. I mean, it's not like you have to strain to make it. It's like, oh, we're talking slow. I guess I could imagine this sort of sounds like they're drunk. No, it sounds exactly like we're drunk. Like, I actually encourage people right now.
Yes.
Just try it. It's kind of funny. Like, put it on half speed, and all of a sudden we just sound like we just showed up from some sort of gutter. We're like, you want to talk movies today? Yeah, man.
Hey, what did you think of that movie that you saw? It was like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. So,
yeah.
But what's funny is this idea of listening to podcasts at 1.5 speed. That's something that's relatively new in my consciousness. But it turns out that a lot of people do this actually.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I sort of get it. I don't do it personally. That said, I do use Audible.
Sure.
And they have it a little more nuanced. So you can go 1.1, 1.2, 1.3.
Interesting.
And so what I do is I find something that still sounds normal to me.
I see.
And I'll try to push it a little bit, but I don't. When it starts to sound a little bit unnatural, I just don't enjoy it. But so usually I'm at like 1.2 or 3 or something. And but it's weird. Then out of curiosity, I'll put it back to 1, and I'm like, man, how slow is this guy reading? It's crazy.
I have not heard us doing our thing at 1.5 speed, but I'm curious now. I mean, I would imagine I sound like I'm on speed.
For the Micro Machines guy?
Yeah. Well, that would be like twice speed. I figure in the middle, I'm like Jesse Spano. I'm just really excited about movies.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out too. I'm kind of curious.
So this is a comment that was left for us on Facebook by Ronald Darling, and this is Brian. This is directed at you.
I think
this is Brian. I'm not one to give someone grief about not having seen something seminal from our childhoods. I myself having missed out on a lot of things that our cohort deems classic. So this is more in overt sympathy for you having missed out on Who's the Boss and unwittingly missed out on the schoolboy crush most of us shared on the heartbreaker that was Alyssa Milano. I imagine it left a huge hole.
That was hilarious, by the way, when I did see that on Facebook. And any note starting out to you that goes, Brian. I was like, oh no, what? But it's so funny. I talked to my brother last night, and I said, did you ever watch Who's the Boss? And he was like, no. And I mentioned this comment, and I said, I don't know. I mean, I watched like MacGyver, and I watched all sorts of 80s stuff, but that, a handful slipped through the cracks. And I know this was a big one for a lot of people. But he's right. As a result, I never really did think about Alyssa Milano. Like, she wasn't a young crush of mine.
Yeah.
So I know that's a thing for a lot of people our age, but yeah, it would just slip through the cracks for me.
It's disappointing, Brian. That's all I'm saying. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
And you're not wrong to be.
What's funny though is that in that sense, You and I are on the opposite ends of like 80s TV consumption. In that, I mean, there's like this big overlap. There's like this big Venn diagram in the middle where we saw a lot of the same stuff. But like the sheer volume of instantly canceled crap that I did see,
right,
is in direct opposition to you like not having even seen Who's the Boss.
Yeah, well, we just mentioned, I don't remember why, but we were talking about Sledgehammer.
Yes,
right.
Sledgehammer, yeah.
And I don't remember how long that lasted, and I don't honestly even remember it existing. But it came up recently, and I watched a couple clips, and I thought, oh, I bet I would have loved this as a kid.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, definitely those sorts of artifacts I don't know, somehow missed, but
Sledgehammer. Yeah. Well, I think what it comes down to is because I grew up in Saudi Arabia. My running theory about the TV show, the American TV shows that ended up there. This is just the scenario that exists in my head. It's sort of like in colonial times, when the settlers would make deals with the Native Americans, and
right.
and they just give them shit.
Okay, right.
Like, oh, here's alcohol, and here's this all just awful stuff. So I feel like that's what in my mind, that's what American television did with Saudi TV.
Right.
Where they're
Here,
like,
take this.
Yeah, you give us the oil, we'll give you Small Wonder. Like that's
yeah. Cop rock. You're gonna love it.
That's my only explanation for some of these shows that I have very distinct memories of.
Right.
And that just live in my head. I mean, this is like the worst X-Men mutant power, where I just remember terrible TV shows,
But it's great though, because other people remember them too, and then your Nostalgia Theater podcast and articles and everything. It's just you're perfectly suited.
There you go.
To remind everybody of those things.
It was the equivalent of Firewater, all right, so we do have some trailers that just dropped. We haven't had trailers in like a little while, Brian.
Which makes sense, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
there is a plague.
Yeah. I mean, aside from Unhinged and Tenet, I mean, I don't really know.
Well, here's a trailer, and I'm not going to bother playing audio from it because it's just a song. But the first trailer for the Justice League Snyder Cut dropped this past week. Actually, and before we even get to that, I mean, this all happened through this DC Fandom event.
Yeah, can you explain what that was?
Well, it was essentially Warner Brothers doing their own version of a convention. So it's the equivalent of what is that? Disney, like D23?
Oh, D23 or Star Wars Celebration.
Exactly. So it's like DC Celebration, and they did it 100% online. And
apparently it got 22 million views around the world.
Isn't that crazy? It's
That's
a huge
crazy.
success.
I mean, Comic-Con this year was sort of a story in that they tried to keep it up virtually, but they didn't.
Well, that's the funny thing. I read about that. I read about that. Oh, compared to Comic-Con online, it did. And I was like, there was Comic-Con online? Like,
yeah, wow. Yeah.
And I remember, I knew it, but I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because that's how forgettable it was. And I think part of the reason is because you had for example, Warner Brothers being like, well, we got our own thing coming up, so let's just, we'll hold fire.
Yeah, I mean, well, right. It makes sense. And so it ended up being a lot of pre-recorded panels,
yes,
for television shows, which you're going to get some of the faithful to show up. I actually watched the Bill and Ted one just because I was so eager for that.
Yes.
But that was it. And this makes sense, because then I think Comic-Con would have gotten the bigger numbers had they had the Justice League trailer and the Wonder Woman trailer like they normally would have. But like you said, these people are like, well, these kind of belong to us, so we're going to do our own thing. Now,
did you watch any of the Fandom stuff?
No, I was kind of aware it was happening, but I certainly watched the trailers as they dropped.
Okay. So I jumped in and out of a few of these panels. Mm-hmm. For example, the Wonder Woman 1984 panel. And they did a very good... I mean, they created like a virtual space that allowed everybody to kind of chime in from their home base. But it was very elaborately constructed, but I thought execution-wise they really pulled it off. So you were able to get a panel where you got Patty Jenkins and Pedro Pascal and Chris Pine, etc. Everybody, Gal Gadot. I guess I should mention her because she's Wonder Woman. But like, everybody, and the interaction was pretty good. There wasn't as much of the zoom lag and stuff, and then and they would drop new footage or what have you. And I was watching this fandom stuff, and I was like, this is gonna be the new normal for Comic-Con. For conventions and things. Why on earth would people bother with Hall H and all that shit? Including the talent.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe especially the talent, And
it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of cool. You can just pull up your laptop and watch this thing unfold. You just wonder what that means for like monetization, right? Or how does Comic-Con survive? They have to rethink their structure, I would imagine.
So here's my thought is I think I could see a scenario where Comic-Con goes back to what it used to be before all you Hollywood types showed up and ruined it.
Yep.
And just be an actual convention about comics, right?
Yeah, you're right. And then have there's a Batmobile over here.
Yeah. Like have it more attraction based.
Yeah.
So you'd still have like Autograph Alley or whatever, but like the big high profile stuff, like again, they're going to show the new trailer for Wonder Woman. They're going to show the trailer for this or whatever. Well, I don't see why. Because to put on this event, you have to imagine that the cost. I mean, it didn't cost nothing, but it was probably far less expensive than having to do a whole song and dance at Comic-Con.
Right.
You know? So I don't know. So anyway, there was a new trailer that dropped for Wonder Woman. We won't bother talking about that. Did you see it?
I did.
It's a good trailer.
Yeah.
I think it gave away
wait, real quick.
A little too much.
I didn't want to, before we're done with the Snyder Cut. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah. I'm working up to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the first one and we already moved on.
We haven't even talked about it.
Yeah, you just mentioned that it was a song and we weren't going to play it.
Yeah, but we'll still talk about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So the Wonder Woman trailer, in my opinion, it gave away a little bit too much.
Sure. Well, we get a first look at Kristen Wiig, right, in sort of CGI'd.
Yes.
Is it Chitara? Is that how you say it?
No, well, that's from Thundercats.
I was like, I actually don't know what it is. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I was like, nah, let me press this.
Brian, speaking of childhood crushes, I had a thing for Chitara.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But moving on, enough about, prepubescent Zacky's early awakening.
Furry fascination.
I think with regards to Chris Pine, like how he is in the story, I feel like the trailer like gave away the game, and that was a little irksome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. And just knowing he's there, I suppose, I'm like, well, all right. I'm sure there's some machination that got him there, or whatever.
Right.
But I gotta say, it made me like smile ear to ear. I was like, I really want to watch that. That looks like really fun, and I like them together.
Yes.
Gadot and Chris Pine are make a fun team, and it looks like a blast. It looks like a fun movie.
And again, it is still scheduled for November, I think.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious what happens with all that. I would assume a lot of eyeballs at Warner Brothers are going to be watching Tenet's box office returns.
It's just so weird. I don't know what you do, because, not to go down this whole road too far, but I mean, the next year is not going to be normal.
Yes.
And even after that, it's going to be a new version of normal. And so you look at Tenet, and Tenet, I read somewhere, has to make $800 million to be profitable.
Okay.
That's just not going to happen.
I was about to say, yeah.
Just not.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure what they're trying to prove right now. But we're going to get some sort of data,
Right.
So yeah, I do wonder what that means then. What's an acceptable loss, right? And so if they figure they can, get enough of something to satisfy themselves, then maybe, yes, we'll still see Wonder Woman in November. I don't know.
Well, regardless, what a movie, and this is not even going to come to theaters, is of course the Snyder cut of Justice League. So the trailer dropped, and it's about 2.5 minutes of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. So I feel like us being like, let's play some of the audio would just be like, hitting play on iTunes,
And they'd be like, what, are they playing that love scene from Watchmen? I texted you, I was like, wow, he's really doubling down on that song, isn't he? Because that was like one of the criticisms from Watchmen.
That's one of the things that he has said is, well, this was a song that was special to his daughter who passed away, and so I'm like, okay, I can respect that. Now I am curious though. What did you think of the trailer? Because the reaction online was exactly as polarizing as you'd expect. It's like a Rorschach test, no pun intended, because Rorschach Snyder.
Wow. Yeah.
In that, if Abraham Lincoln, right? He had that famous quote, right? Those who like this sort of thing will find it the sort of thing they like.
That's great.
And I felt like that quote was spoken in anticipation of the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah. I think, with absolutely no disrespect, I love that the people who love this thing and are nice people are getting the thing that they've been wanting.
I like the stipulation at the end there, because that is really crucial.
Yeah, and I'm glad they get the thing they want.
Yeah.
And so watching it as someone who does not have near that affinity for it, but I like it. I like it fine, I don't really know the difference, what I saw versus... if you had played me the trailer for the original theatrical cut.
Sure.
Having said that, I was like jazzed seeing them. I was jazzed seeing Batman and Wonder Woman and Cyborg. I was jazzed seeing Joe Morton, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, bring it. When this comes out, I'll totally watch it for sure.
Joe Morton dying on screen seems to be like a good luck charm for movies.
I guess so, huh? Yeah. I didn't know that happened, but. Now I do.
I mean, they announced that it was going to be a 4-hour deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in other words, like it'll be released in like 4 1-hour episodes.
Right.
And then at the tail end of that, they'll sort of turn it into some kind of big thing. And I said this genuinely. This wasn't meant to be, sarcastic. I'm like, well, for the people who've been clamoring for this for years and years, I mean, this is like a feast, right? What else can you ask for?
Mm-hmm.
Because right? I mean, the theatrical. Let's say all things were equal, and he was able to release the cut theatrical. Well, there's no way it was going to be 4 hours long.
Right. So it's almost better.
Right. So at most you were looking at 2.5 hours.
Right.
And then maybe tack on another half hour for some extended cut. It was not going to be a big 4 hour thing. Now, that said, we've seen good examples of 4 hour extended cuts, and we've seen bad examples. Because, for example, staying in the DC neighborhood, there's an extended TV edit of Superman the movie.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had to warn people frantically away, wave them off. I'm like John McClane in Die Hard 2 trying to just like wave off the plane, Like, don't watch that because it's awful.
Huh.
I mean,
is it really? I mean, now they did that because they were going to air it on television and they wanted to extend it to the point where they could do it over multiple nights, right?
And make more money. Exactly.
So even as segments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was only 2, but even as segments, it's still not satisfying at that length. Because
all it is including, ins and outs of scenes. So instead of seeing somebody, this is like an example, but like somebody sitting at the table eating breakfast, you see them walk into the room and pour the cereal and, and I mean, the cardinal rule of editing is come in late, leave early.
Yep.
And this is the exact opposite.
Right.
It's like come in way early and overstay your welcome.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So you just wonder then, I mean, it would have been a heck of a lot easier on an Avid, but back in the day, they're just like, all right, we'll take every scene and just add everything you cut at the beginning and end of it.
Every header, every footer, boom.
Wow.
Now, I don't expect that this will be that. I I can't imagine that's going to be the case because Snyder shoots, with an eye towards what the finished thing is going to look like. Mm-hmm. That being said, I mean, that's clearly a lot of story. So again, the length, I'm not in any way judging the length, because I hope this is, for the people who've been looking for this, what like the Lord of the Rings extended cuts are for me,
Yes.
Where I'm like, well, that's the only way to watch it. Mm-hmm. Now that said, the day of this, the day that the panel happened and the day the trailer was going to drop, Zack Snyder got into it on Twitter with a critic from Forbes, Scott Mendelson. And so by way of a backstory here, Scott Mendelson, who I'm friendly with, by the way, I feel like I should mention that. I think his box office analysis is always on point. I don't necessarily always agree with his reviews, but whatever, that's life, right? Yeah. So he saw like a leak of the trailer before it officially dropped. Oh. And so he says that trailer for the Snyder Cut of Justice League looks like the same movie? ? Lots of deleted scenes from the marketing campaign, but otherwise it looks like alternate takes of existing scenes. Mm-hmm. And so I saw that tweet initially, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't even think much about it. But Zack Snyder saw it also. And, right? And so he says, you said you enjoyed the theatrical cut of Justice League like you enjoy your Saturday morning cartoons. Well, this is made for grown-ups, so you're not in the demographic. Also, cool of you to comment on a leaked teaser. So, okay, second point first. I would agree that if the teaser was leaked, maybe like hold fire until it's out in the world and then say whatever you got to say. That's number one. So I agree with point two. Point the first.
Point the first.
I'm just gonna say maybe don't do that. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels a little childish.
Right. I mean, it's like I'm extremely sympathetic to the amount of bullshit that people have thrown at Zack Snyder. I don't think anybody should have to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
People calling him all kinds of names. They're calling him, he's, just saying ridiculous stuff about him.
Yeah.
He's a bad parent because his daughter, like a real stupid type.
That's
thing.
awful.
100% out of bounds. I want to be very, very clear about that. And I think it's unfortunate. And that being said, I also am like, dude, you're at the finish line. You're so close to the finish line, you can walk over it. And all you had to do is like let the work speak for itself.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm just fascinated by the urge to you won, like, and be like, yeah, well, nah,
Yeah. Or just like, enjoy your childish games. We're at the big kids table, son. It's kind of a silly retort.
The other thing is, I'm like, look, this is a movie about Superman, Batman.
That's a really good point.
I mean, come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is not My Dinner with Andre,
Right.
It's not Brian. It's not The Magnificent Amberson.
It's not
And that's what I mean. That part of it is just sort of fascinating to me. Like, wait, what do you mean it's made for grown-ups? Like, that's just such an odd thing. Like, I'm, you know what I mean? Like, it's a superhero movie. It should, that's not an insult if you say it made me feel like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
And to me, it takes me back to, I think, last year where he was he was responding to the criticism that Batman kills in his movies.
Yes, right.
And he says, oh, like Batman killed a guy? I'm like, really? Wake the F up. I guess what I'm saying is, once you've lost your virginity to this effing movie, and then you come and say to me something like, my superhero wouldn't do that. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like down the effing road on that. Ooh, wah! And I want to be very clear. Like, if that's your point of view, that's fine. But I'm just like, none of that is helpful either.
Yeah. This is like one of those things where like Twitter is just like, yeah, you take it or leave it.
Right.
Maybe it's not always like the best thing to just put every thought you're feeling in the moment. You could sit on it for a minute and decide if it's worth it.
I mean, it's and I'm sitting here
on a small scale, by the way. People say way worse things, but
absolutely. So I, you know what, I hope the film is good. I will be watching it.
Yeah.
And I will be rooting for it to be good. And I hope the fans who have been waiting for it, like sincerely, I hope it measures up. But I'm also like, I can understand the urge to respond, but sometimes it's okay to just let the work speak for itself.
Yeah, agreed.
And to Scott Mendelson, it's like, well, yeah, it is going to be alternate takes because it's not like, I mean, it's still the theatrical cut and the Snyder cut are built on the same chassis. There's going to be huge differences in execution and narrative choice or whatever. But I mean, yeah, well, how can there not be similarities? It's not a brand new movie. Right. I mean, it is, but it's not.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. So everybody sit down and be quiet is my point.
Yeah, enjoy it when it arrives and then move on.
Not every stupid thought you have needs to be posted out into the world. And that's just as much directed at me, Zaki Hassan. By the way, this is random. We're talking about Hallelujah. By sheer coincidence, Hallelujah was also played like 2 days ago when Donald Trump gave his acceptance speech.
You are making that up.
I'm not making that up.
Are you serious?
Yeah. After he gave his speech,
I didn't know this.
They played Hallelujah, and the Leonard Cohen estate is threatening to sue because they were asked, "Can we play this?" And they said no.
He just did.
They did it anyway.
Well, that's his MO, but I did not know that. That's almost.
Yeah.
It feels like something out of a film, like some sort of satire.
It's within days of the Justice League trailer, that song got soiled. Or soiled again, depending on how you felt about the first trailer. I'm not among those people, but
right.
Moving on, another trailer that dropped, and can I tell you something? This is like peek behind the curtain. Every time we mention anything Zack Snyder related, I feel like I'm walking through a minefield.
Right.
Because it's absolutely terrifying.
He has very devoted and involved and attentive and responsive fans.
Yeah, and I want to make sure I treat the subject with the complexity that it deserves.
Yeah.
But I swear, I'm like one step away from Zack Snyder as the kindest, warmest, bravest, most wonderful human being I've ever met. Like that's
That's hilarious.
Speaking of Batman, we're staying in that neighborhood a little bit longer. The first trailer for The Batman dropped.
Yeah, and my understanding is they only have about a quarter of the movie shot.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Amazing.
Dropped. Like, they could have just done one of those sort of teases where it's, a black screen and a lot of dialogue, and then it fades up on some sort of image.
Yeah.
But no, we got like a full-blown 2.5 minute trailer.
So, Brian, this trailer ended, and I was just like, find a vein and plug it in.
Yes, right. Yeah, no, again, with only 25% of their movie shot, I mean, they made a trailer that made me ready to, get in line.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, I don't know if I'll be able to do that.
Right.
That's right. In 2021. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah, no, we see so much. We get glimpses of Catwoman. We get, I think, glimpses of Riddler. We don't see his face, but we get a glimpse of the Penguin. We get the Batmobile. We get plenty of Robert Pattinson as Batman and Bruce Wayne. I mean, we see a lot in this thing. It's pretty cool. And all set to Nirvana, which is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Nirvana's like one of those things. I mean, you don't hear them in car commercials, right? Like they've sort of been able, in many ways, to preserve their, I don't know, integrity, mystique, whatever you want to call it. So it was sort of like, whoa. And immediately I was like, hey, that's something's in the way. And I thought it was effective. I thought it was kind of cool.
I think what struck me right away was Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, he looks great. I was like, that's Jim Gordon,
Yep, and his kind of interaction with Batman was kind of fun.
Yeah, I think the framework from what I understand, this is pulling from like The Long Halloween and another storyline called Ego and various other things. But I like the idea of this is an early Batman, but it's not the earliest Batman.
Yeah, yeah.
Which definitely feels like an area that cinematically has not been explored that much.
Yeah, and since we just talked about Batman Begins,
yes,
I mean we feel like that's been pretty well covered.
Yes,
right. The absolute beginning, and it's so well done. I just don't see a need to repeat that. Right. So it's kind of perfect. I like still a scrappy finding his way Batman. That's super interesting.
Yeah, and the idea of him actually solving a mystery is something that appeals to me, because that was a critique I had of The Dark Knight, is we get some of that mystery solving, but it's less like, him being a detective than like, put this into the computer and see what it says. And then in lieu of that, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you until you tell me what I want, which well, that's just like being Dirty Harry,
Right.
So that aspect, which I hope it gets into more, and that's been what Matt Reeves has said, like that's his approach. But I love, just from what we saw, what I really like is how it feels like this kind of stylistic middle ground between Burton and Nolan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sort of grounded, but also a slightly heightened bit of style.
Exactly.
Like it's atmospheric, let's say. Yeah, I agree. And that's, I think we were texting each other after it dropped, and I was just saying, I've come to love that anytime you get a new director with Batman, we're going to get a new Batman.
Yes.
Like why not? Like, right. I don't need to see the same thing over and over. I just want to see different people's interpretations on it and have a new adventure. I'm totally into that.
Yeah, the fact that when Pattinson's casting was announced, there was a corner of the internet that erupted in disapproval, right? Because he stopped acting after Twilight. He's never done anything since then to show that he's a good actor. And I think you and I had this exact discussion where it's like, it just feels like a rite of passage. Every couple of years, there's going to be a new Batman. People are going to be pissed off about it, and then they'll be pissed off again when that person leaves.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's just the way of things, because we've been doing this show long enough. This is what happened when Ben Affleck was first announced. And everything I see from this, I'm like, well, it looks like he's going to be a good Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a different Batman for sure. I mean, there was a couple shots of him, and I was like, oh, it's interesting because, I mean, he kind of looks like he has my body type, honestly. And, compared to Ben Affleck, who's, 6'3" or something.
Right.
Very big. I mean, his Batman is hulking.
Right.
Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It'll just be a different interpretation, and I'll be curious how the story uses that.
Yeah.
Whatever this Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So The Batman is coming out a year from October, right?
I believe, I think that's where it's currently set. And even in the trailer itself, it's right, like ?0, ?1, which of course is more like play on the Riddler, but
yes,
it is kind of up in the air a little bit.
Oh, and by the way, we forgot to mention Colin Farrell. We got to see him as the Penguin, or should I say Colin Farrell as Richard Kind?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I wonder if Richard Kind is like, "Hey, I'm right here."
Yeah, I know, guys. Come on, I'm Bing Bong here. I'm curious to see what that even looks like. It is kind of crazy when you think about it that we haven't gotten Riddler and Penguin on the big screen in more than 25 years.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Like, there's a new Joker every couple months, but other than that, it feels like some of these classic adversaries are about due for a reprisal.
Yeah, new interpretations.
Yeah, I mean, on Gotham, the TV show Gotham, they had Riddler and Penguin, but of course that television show does not exist in this dojo. So, I know people who are passionate about that show, and I'm like, all right, well, that's cool.
yeah. No, I couldn't find my way into it.
Yeah.
It was its own sort of tone, and I was like, great, like that's that thing, but it's just not for me.
It's funny because the tail end of that series, that show's very weird actually, because again, Batman doesn't even show up till like the last episode, but they did all the like storylines. So they did like Bane and No Man's Land and all this stuff without Batman.
What, really?
Yeah, it was weird. And
so who were they? Who was the Batman substitute in those stories then?
I mean, it was just like Jim Gordon in the Gotham Police Department. Weird, right?
I see.
And you had like young Bruce Wayne kind of farting around doing his thing throughout the series.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, how do you involve like a boy?
Yeah, it was weird.
Weave that into these stories.
There's like a time jump between the next to last episode and the final episode. Like it jumps ahead like 10 years. And so you have like Bruce Wayne returns, and now he's a man, Brian. When I left, I was he left. He was a bat boy, and now he's a. But they had Shane West as Bane. And I generally like Shane West. I don't mind him, but it was so. I mean, it was like a what you ordered, what you got kind of thing, like between Tom Hardy and whatever they made Shane West wear as Bane,
Sure.
But I'm just like, I mean, my point is this: like, there's as many interpretations of Batman at this point as there are stars in the sky.
Yeah.
Like pick your flavor and enjoy it.
Agreed. Totally agree.
So let's ponder that while we allow our sponsors to say this. And we are back, and here is some news that is sobering and shocking and heartbreaking, all of those things. Chadwick Boseman passed away yesterday as we record this at the age of 43 after a 4-year battle with colon cancer.
Yeah. I mean, you sent me that or the article or whatever, and it was just one of those things where you almost literally turn away, blink your eyes a couple times, and look at it again because you just don't believe it.
I went to bed and I woke up this morning hoping it had been a dream.
It just feels so like a sick April Fool's joke or something. Like, it's just not reality. I mean, he was so young. He was just, he's iconic now. Yeah, as Black Panther, and the fact that he had been enduring through this for the past 4 years, and I don't think anybody knew that, right? I mean, at least not publicly.
Not publicly.
It's just, yeah. And so then you sort of go on this deep dive then when people are posting things about him today, and just seems like a really, really wonderful person. I mean, a lot of what I'm seeing is him visiting children in hospitals. Yeah. And while he's going through his own battle, he's got this face on, and he's being Black Panther for everyone, for everyone else to feel better. Huh. And one of the other incredibly moving ones that kind of made me tear up was, have you seen the Jimmy Fallon thing, where it's basically they bring in a lot of these African-American people into this room to sort of record messages to Chadwick about what Black Panther the film meant to them and what he means to them playing that character. And what they don't know is that he's actually in the room hidden. And so he gets to hear these really, sometimes moving and meaningful and sometimes funny comments. And then he gets to come out and reveal himself, and just seeing them respond, and hug him. And it was really... Yeah,
I watched that again last night, and it occurred to me, in hindsight, it's almost like being able to attend your own wake.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be almost a difficult thing to process, really, hearing that.
I mean, he was diagnosed in 2016. So from then to now, I mean, he made Captain America: Civil War. He made he made Marshall, the Thurgood Marshall movie. All Black Panther, both Avengers sequels he's in. 21 Bridges, which he starred in. Five Bloods, which you just talked about a couple months ago. A bunch of stuff that's not even out yet. At least a couple things. So going through chemo, having surgery, etc., and then working, and not just on the films, but then being out there promoting this stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, being able to put this thing out there, Black Panther, that touched people in this way, as you see in that video. Think about how life-giving that was for him, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk about a reason to keep fighting.
Right.
Knowing how important this was.
Right.
You know, and you know, you and I, we talked about the Five Bloods, and one of the things that came up in the conversation is how, you know, in the film, you know, you have the older veterans who, when we see the flashbacks, they all are playing themselves same age as they are in the present, even though they're in the past. But Chadwick Boseman, since his character dies in that era, he's young, and so he exists preserved as he was then. And the irony is that is now Chadwick Boseman. Mm-hmm. He is now preserved forever in this way.
Yeah. I know it sounds incredibly corny, but I actually was thinking when I was driving this morning, that line from The Sandlot where it says, you know, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Yeah.
And, like, of course, we would give anything to have him back. But, like, he is locked into cultural history. That face, that's Black Panther. You know, and there will be others, and they'll do what they'll do, and hopefully they'll all be great. But you're going to have Han Solo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to have, like, just these iconic faces, and Humphrey Bogart and whatever. You're going to have Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther, and he is just locked into...
Well, and
cultural.
The fact, Brian, that he played Jackie Robinson, he played James Brown, he played Thurgood Marshall, and he is now an icon like them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I mean, I remember when I watched 42, and I've said this on the show before, I watched that, I saw him in that movie, I was like, I think he would be a great Black Panther. I'm not saying that because I'm amazing. I'm sure other people had that thought, but I remember watching that film being like, this guy's a star. Mm-hmm. And then when Black Panther became not just a hit, but one of the biggest hits of all time, you know, the thought you have is like, well, Chadwick Boseman is going to be here forever. Like, we're going to watch this guy for the next several decades. We're going to watch him grow old on screen. Mm-hmm. Little did any of us know that he himself, you know, was undergoing the struggle that he didn't tell anybody about. And I've just been thinking about that. I'm like, it's not fair, you know? Mm-hmm. He should have been, we should have had that chance. He should have had that chance to grow old on screen.
Yep.
So I don't know, you know, it's I mean, I don't have anything profound I can really say, but I mean, I remember getting this notification and it felt like I got punched in the stomach, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Shocking and startling. And just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And, you know, you mentioned earlier, I mean, obviously the question is going to come up about, well, what happens with Black Panther, and that's going to be a story for later.
Yeah, and it's obviously his life means much more, but it's like he does mean a lot to the world in that way, and you just wonder. You had to imagine that he was going to be the anchor,
right,
for this next chapter in, you know, the Marvel films, which are worldwide, mean a lot to a lot of people. I mean, it's a big thing. So yeah, you wonder.
I mean, I said it, you know, when we discussed Avengers Endgame, you know, when the portal opens and T'Challa is the first one out, and he and Captain America like nod at each other, and I was like, to me that was like a passing of the torch moment. Yeah. You know, and you like, it's such a big void, you know. I mean, again, it's like it feels tacky to even bother speculating, and I don't want to do that right now. But I mean, obviously, this is going to be a conversation that's had in the media in the next couple of weeks. So I mean, when there is news, we'll know it. I don't think they can avoid, you know, being asked, well, what's the plan, you know? Mm-hmm. So we shall see. But Chadwick Boseman, gone too soon, 43 years old. And the other thing is gosh, I mean, you know, get checked. If those of you who are listening to this and getting older, I mean, gosh, Brian, you and I are not that much younger than Chadwick Boseman was, and this sure is a wake-up call on that level. Yep. You know?
Yep. If you're, you know, I also know it's sometimes, and I'm certainly guilty of this, I don't mean to, assign gender things to whatever, but it's like a lot of times men tend to be sort of stoic.
Yeah.
Over like if they feel weird or if, I don't want to go to the doctor and whatever, but it's like, just go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go to the
It's
doctor.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm saying that to myself.
Just as much to yourself.
Yeah.
So moving on. So Brian, there was a headline you added to our list here that I'm curious what your thoughts are on.
When we were sort of looking at things we could talk about for headlines this week, I was going through the past week or two looking at sort of things, and this one headline just stood out at me, and it goes like this: The Nutty Professor remake coming from the Scream reboot team. I was like, what? Like, it just, it's funny if you could go back on our episodes maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago and you'd hear us talking about everything's a reboot. They're going to just keep remake, I guess is more like it. Like, everything's a remake, and they're just remaking things. There's not going to be any new things to make. And this just feels like the next chapter of that.
Yeah.
Where it's like the Nutty Professor, which has already been remade, is going to be remade again, coming from the team that rebooted the movies of Scream. That just felt like a little bit of a snake eating its own tail sort of
really
absurdity
is.
that I just had to stand back. It almost felt like an onion in terms of at least amusing absurdity. Yeah. And I have nothing to say about it. But I just thought that was really
that really is. It's like, wow, okay.
I mean, what 10 years from now, like, what are we? Like the Nutty Professor reboot coming from the Scream remake team. Like, I don't know. It's
there's the Simpsons, one of the Halloween episodes, one of the later ones, where Homer figures out how to clone himself.
Yeah.
And then the clones figure out how to clone themselves.
Right.
And so, but you're talking about a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and that's what's happening to the industry. Mm-hmm. And this is, I mean, pandemic notwithstanding, this has been a problem already.
Yeah.
Where the distinct lack of originality. So I mean, when you think about it, I mean, that's what, obviously, something like Tenet, that's why you kind of hope it does succeed. Yeah,
and then maybe that's why I like Bad Education so much. Like, I don't know that story.
Something different,
Yeah, it feels thrilling in its own way, even when it's not a thriller per se.
Yeah. What's fun? Hey, speaking of Tenet, but we should mention this: Tom Cruise has put his thumb on the scale. We're used to him defying death, but he may have taken on the biggest challenge of all, the biggest stunt of all, Brian. He went to a movie theater to watch Tenet.
Yes.
And
yeah, that was kind of a random little 20-second clip that dropped this week. Right. And it's not even like he's like, hey, this is Tom Cruise here, and I'm in for something exciting tonight. You know what that is? I'm gonna go watch Tenet, and it's over. Hey, Tenet, great. It's just very almost abstract.
Yes.
Yes. Kind of cinema verite. Sort
it's like
of,
produced.
Yeah, well, there's like music, and there's like a car in traffic, and then you see he's in a theater, and then it was very weird.
I mean, it's literally, it's the equivalent of the EPK stuff of like, all right, so I'm about to hang off this plane here, and it's really dangerous. And,
yeah. Yeah, but without like that much clarity of explanation of what we're watching.
Yeah.
It just felt very, but I think it's not mentioned, but I think he's with Christopher McQuarrie, right? Is the guy next to him?
I don't know, but I'm assuming because those two are pretty much joined at the hip these days, right?
Yeah. But I mean, of course, he's promoting whatever, like Return to the Theater, but he has a movie coming up in a couple months, and I know it's a little out of bounds for me to talk about it, but I've heard he's pushing.
Yeah, he wants it to do well.
Yeah. I mean, everybody now is just considering their best options, and he is pretty bound and determined for this thing to happen. And so you've got to wonder if this is sort of a calculated early chess move.
I mean, you don't even have to know Tom Cruise to say, well, yes, that's exactly what it is. I mean, he knows what he's doing. That's absolutely not even like a negative judgment on the guy. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
If Tenet plays, then that means that Top Gun Maverick, the odds are better.
Right.
and he feels a need, Brian, a need for I don't know, to go
going back to the theaters. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So I did find that very funny, though.
Yeah.
Now that said, I mean, there are new movies in theaters. I mean, last night, New Mutants opened.
That's right. That's right.
Not. This is not a drill, people.
right.
After 3 years of just sitting in a drawer, New Mutants came out, and it is the best Friday at the box office since March.
You don't say.
Which to me is like saying that's like the best shit I had since I ate all those burritos at once. Like, I don't know that it means much because it made $3 million
this weekend.
Yes, on Friday it made $3 million.
Oh, $3 million. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Unhinged made $4 million total last weekend.
Okay, so this one is gonna
good.
Considering, yeah. So this is gonna land at about $8 million.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a big deal.
That's not just domestic.
Yeah, domestically.
I mean, obviously not what you would hope for, but not awful, all things considered, when you have the two major markets out of contention even.
That's true. California, yeah. New York, yeah.
I had no idea. I would have never even been able to wager a guess.
Now, what's funny about this, I have not... I will at some point watch it because I'm curious, but I saw a review, and I forget who said this, but it said this is the worst X-Men movie of them all. And I'm like... Doesn't it feel like a lot of the X-Men movies are the worst X-Men movie of them all? Like, right, I feel like we say that too often, that phrase, you know? So this was, of course, intended to be like a franchise starter, and then it just, it got caught, like, in the middle of the Fox-Disney merger, and the only reason they didn't put it out in like, straight to streaming is because contractually, all of these Fox releases that were already, like, supposed to come out had to be released theatrically.
Yeah, which, by the way, that reminds me because I watched Idiocracy the other night. It was starting at like 10 at night on HBO, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this since it came out.
Yeah.
And I remember that was one of those instances also where that was a movie that Fox really, really didn't want to put out, but in its contract, it had to be put in theaters, and so they put it out for a week with absolutely no advertising.
Really?
And I was reading an article about it after I watched it, and I guess some theaters were getting it, and they didn't even know what it was.
Really?
They were just told this was going to screen, and yeah, so it's just kind of a funny little thing to, I guess, ensure you have in your contract if you make a movie and you want it in theaters.
Yeah, jeez. Well, and I mean, the ironic thing is, and now Idiocracy, suddenly everyone is like, I saw Idiocracy, way before. I knew it was, suddenly everybody loved Idiocracy.
Yeah,
which is just empirically false, Yeah.
Yeah. I'll join that choir. Actually, I did see it in theaters that one week.
You told me about it.
Yeah.
And so you legitimately get to claim that.
Yeah. Well, and the reason was I was working at a studio that was associated with Fox at the time, and I was able to read whatever I wanted, and I saw there was a Mike Judge script that hadn't been made, and it was called 3001 at the time. And so I just read it, and I was like, this is friggin' hilarious. So I kind of had an awareness of its journey.
Okay.
And then when it came out, I was really curious to see it because it's so ridiculous. I just wanted to see how they executed it.
See, for me, Office Space. I can legitimately say, I went Friday night. The Friday night that it opened, I watched Office Space, and it was a most.
See, I can't claim that.
Yeah, that's my. But what's funny is I remember a couple of years ago I interviewed Jay Roach, who directed. This was for Trumbo, but he directed the Austin Powers movies, and he's like, it's amazing how many people I meet who say they saw Austin Powers opening weekend. And he said it sort of ironically. Oh yeah, everybody saw Austin Powers opening weekend. That's why it made no money, It's funny how retrospectively people do that,
Yeah, yeah.
That said, let's reminisce some more while we take another break. All right, we are back, and we actually have a new spoiler wall movie, Brian.
Yeah.
When's the last time we did a spoiler wall? Was it March? Was it Invisible Man?
Maybe. Did we do an episode for that, or did we just talk about it? I know we did the Harley Quinn movie.
That's right. Well, it's
But,
been a while anyway.
Yeah.
It's been a while. A bunch of stuff has happened since then. By the way, real quick, we were talking about Chadwick Boseman and, you know, how sad that is. And, you know, somebody mentioned, like, you know, this year has been so tragic because of course, Kobe Bryant also. And I kid you not, I was like, was that this year?
I know.
Because it feels like an entire other era when Kobe Bryant passed away.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, it was. It was.
Yeah, it was the before times.
Yeah.
But anyway, there is a new film to discuss. I'm talking about Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah.
I am so excited that this movie is out. I'm so excited to get to talk about it with you. I'm so excited that this small piece of normalcy it gets to come back to our show, even if it's only very briefly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll just getting that out of the way, or getting this out of the way. I am so sad that this was a long road getting this movie made. I mean, reading interviews, it sounds like the idea sparked 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And they just kept talking about it, and everyone was on board, and can we get the money? And it happened. They did it, and it was gonna go to theaters. It wasn't even just gonna be some sort of HBO Max movie or whatever Netflix movie. Like, it was gonna go to theaters, and there are way more important things at play right now. But I was like, oh, that's such a bummer. Such a bummer that it didn't get to do the thing that it actually earned. And
I mean, to be fair, it is in some theaters,
of course,
but
right.
yeah,
so
not
like drive-ins and whatnot.
Not at the level that we'd hope, obviously.
Yeah, but that said, I think it's a miracle this movie exists, and I'm so delighted that we're able to talk about it.
So before I even talk about my thoughts, I feel like I know you pretty well, and I feel safe in saying you liked this movie.
It would be kind of funny to do this one time and have you give my review. And even be like, the things that I like, my hang-ups, so whatever. I bet you could probably do it.
Well, so we texted about this, and one thing I said to you was, I'm not going to say anything, but there's one thing in this that'll make you, Brian, feel like this movie was made just for you.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I actually don't know that I'm sure I know what that is, but I bet it probably is true.
It involves Bill and Ted ending up in a mansion in the future.
Oh, yes, right. Yes.
I thought of you with that, and so
yes.
So I watched this. It became available at 9 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday night, and I watched it at 9:04 p.m.
Oh,
right away, and I just. I had such a good time. I said this on Twitter. I was like, this movie was like a big, warm, fuzzy blanket.
I could not agree more. That is, and that's the perfect way to put it. That is I would say the exact same words. It's just a big, warm, fuzzy blanket, and I just had the biggest smile on my face for 90 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you in 2 weeks.
No, I think people familiar with our show will know that we love the originals, and it's weird. I always kind of thought it was like a staple, and I think it is for a lot of people about our vintage, but
yes.
It is a rather prominent staple in my movie-going history, and it's never gone away. Like, it's something I've always revisited. I can quote the whole thing. I have a lot of affection for these characters and for that film. So going into this, I'll admit, when we first saw the trailer, I was a little nervous. I was like, man, I don't know. Like,
I remember that.
It's difficult to tell because it's hard to go back, and we've seen Dumb and Dumber 2, do whatever it did, and sometimes you just can't go back. And as much as they try as they might, I don't know. And but you know what I loved about this so much, and the original, I think why people love it so much is that Bill and Ted are just complete lovers of things and of each other, and they just have huge hearts.
Yep.
And they're not out to ruin anybody's day. And what's nice is then in this movie, which comes from the same writers, which is awesome, by the way, right?
Yep.
So Chris Matheson, Ed Solomon, that heart is fully present. And I think that's exemplified in their daughters, where when the daughters are introduced, I mean, I knew nothing about where this movie was going. And the fact that their daughters aren't these two teenagers who are like, ugh, Dad's working on the song again.
Exactly, right.
You know, like, I wish they were around more or something. It's like, no, they're their dad's biggest fans.
Yep.
And my brother and I, we watched it together, and we were every time he laughed when they would go in unison, "Dads!" And I was like, that's Bill and Ted. That's the pathos of this, or the ethos or whatever of it. It's just And so that made me feel like, okay, we're in good hands here. That's the spirit we're working with. And I feel like, that's what we were given. We were just given a really positive, joyful, exuberant film with these two characters, two actors who are completely game to come back and act like dopes again.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and you know, to your point about who Bill and Ted are, right? Mm-hmm. I can't remember if I said this in our commentary track, but it's certainly a thought that I had as I was watching this. You know, when you watch the first film, it tells you something about who they are. That Rufus shows up. He's like, here's a time machine that takes you through time and space. And they're not like, how do we cheat? Let's like figure out a way. They're like, let's use this to make the most kick-ass presentation.
Yes.
That's where they're at. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And even in this one, they're like, well, we don't want to steal it. Yeah, but it's us. So we're not stealing it from ourselves.
Like, oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know, and it's weird because that's something that you look at and you're like, there's a moral framework that makes you understand why these people are responsible for bringing the world together, whatever.
Oh, you know what? I can't believe I've never thought about that, but that absolutely makes sense. Their morality or their core. Yeah. They're the types of guys that could bring a song. Right. For everyone. Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that.
I mean, what I said, I've said this to you multiple times. I'm like, the thing that gave me faith in this project is Keanu Reeves did not have to do this movie. Yep. The movie was going to rise or fall based on whether Keanu deigned to do it. And he's by no means was this something that needed to be on his plate. And yet he's like, I want to do this. There's something there that he liked. And I think it's very clear to see because the film evokes sort of the spirit that he evokes. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool too. And I know we're being really effusive. I'll bring up a couple nitpicks I had. Okay. You know, after spoilers and stuff. But like, and they're really just nitpicks. But I just think what was so cool too, what they did a really good job of. Sorry, my thoughts just blended together. I was just gonna say, I think I feel really effusive for this movie because I think it's the sort of optimistic bit of entertainment I needed right now. Yeah. You know, and so it's nice to see something that just has its heart on its sleeve and is just a real positive sort of, you know, message. But real quick, I just want to say with Keanu Reeves again, what's so great about the characters also is going back to Dumb and Dumber 2, seeing like 50-year-old Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels act like they did when they were maybe early 30s or late 20s. It almost felt like, I think these guys need help. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of was like, I don't know about how I feel about watching these older men act like this. Or be this rude or be whatever it is. But I think they did a really good job of making Bill and Ted still totally themselves. They still speak like themselves. They still are excited like themselves, but they acted like men.
Yes, right, yeah.
And I thought that was I don't know what that tightrope looked like on the page, or in the direction, but they did it and it felt good.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So big thumbs up from me.
Yeah. I just am so relieved. I'm so relieved. I love it. I'll watch it again. It's just a fluffy 90-minute hug. For sure.
Yeah, and you know, my kids this morning were like, "Oh, can we watch Bill and Ted?" I'm like, I love that I get to. This is going to be like a multi-generational thing, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Because they've seen the first film already. Do you want to talk spoilers?
Let's do it.
All right. For the first time in a while, let's play the thing.
Spoiler.
All right, so Well, one thing I'll say before we even get to your nitpicks, and this isn't a nitpick on my part, but it took me like 10 minutes to be like, oh, it's going to be the daughters.
Right, because
Like-
they keep saying Preston. Right?
Exactly. They're like Logan Preston. I'm like, oh, it's going to be the
Preston,
daughters. Right? And it was one of those things where it's like, so now like you're ahead of the movie. You're like,
Right,
so
right.
It's the daughters. No, I know. It's going to be the daughters. Right? And then at the end, it's like, oh, it's the daughters. I'm like, yeah. No, I know it's the daughters.
It's funny because I definitely saw that coming. But I there's two things about it. I thought it was executed in a way that when they realized it, they were really proud.
Yes.
That felt satisfying for me because it felt like a maturity from these characters. And then also, I love that they did. I didn't want to not see them on stage.
Right.
So I'm very glad that it was all of them together.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I thought that turned out really well.
I think, I mean, on a meta level, I mean, that's the fact that this is from Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson. They created Bill and Ted. They know these characters better than anybody except perhaps, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. But the fact that they made it a story about recognizing that your biggest impact on the world is oftentimes not what you do, but what you set others up to do.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so their achievement is that little Bill and little Ted are these lovely people. Mm-hmm. And so, ultimately for Bill and Ted, it's about getting things started. And then you hope that the pieces are in place for somebody else to run with it and carry it on, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is that, well, Bill and Ted have failed in this and that, the other thing, but they didn't fail in perhaps the most important thing, which is, well, what kind of a child have you raised?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And for me, there's no better indication of the kind of people Bill and Ted are than with the robot, Dennis, who friggin' he shot them into hell, and then he's like, "Hey, can I go with you guys?" And Bill's like, "All right, come on,"
Yes, right.
That's what it is,
Yeah. Which, by the way, I think there was a lot of laughs with that robot, but I loved when they were like about to leave hell in that van.
Yeah.
And then he shows up late. He's like, "Sorry, I got lost." I'm like, "How did you get lost?" It's like the most important thing going on right now. It was so, and I didn't even realize that that's Anthony Carrigan from Barry, which made me. I already loved the character, but knowing that was him doing it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love it!" Like he's just so perfect for that.
You know what I know him from? Gotham. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he played Victor Zsasz on Gotham.
Oh, funny. Yeah, and he's NoHo Hank on Barry for people who watch that. But and he's just such a unique, just whatever it is he brings, he just has that lovable.
Yeah, very fun. And by the way, I love that they were able to bring back as many people in the Bill and Ted repertory company, if you will, as they were. They got Dad back, Missy,
Yeah, Missy, that was so funny. Oh, that was such a great... I mean, we're in spoilers, so seriously, like, if you want to enjoy every joke, just wait. But I loved that joke where Missy's marrying Deacon.
Yes.
And then they say to Ted's dad, it's like, "You're your own son now." That's really funny.
So there's a point in the film, this gets to what I was alluding to earlier, where Bill and Ted go, I think it's like 5 years into the future, right?
Yes, right.
And they end up at what they think is their mansion.
Yes.
But it's actually
because they want to steal the song from themselves.
They think
they're at the successful version of themselves.
Exactly. And future song. Bill and Ted are all like cynical because they screwed up. So they're like, "Oh, we'll take this musician's music and give it to them, and they can take credit for it." Mm-hmm. And it turns out that's Dave Grohl.
Yeah.
and anyone who's listening to this show or who has listened for a while knows that Brian has like a man crush on Dave Grohl.
Yep.
Rightly so, by the way, because I think that man is just like Keanu Reeves. He's an alien who's been brought here to show us how to be better people.
Yeah. He's been really interesting lately, just on a complete tangent. But did you see where there was some guy who had a Grohl-a-thon? He was from Philadelphia, and he was going to be on Instagram TV for 24 hours in an attempt to get Dave Grohl to jam with him or something.
Wow.
And so then I don't even know, like a couple hours into it, word got to Dave Grohl, and then he joined the chat.
Wow.
And he was like, all right, man, like, what do you want? And then they like kind of jammed out together for a minute and, talked and whatever. And I was like, wow, that's really cool.
I mean, he just seems like that kind of guy. I mean, you should tell the story about how you and we were at Amoeba Records.
Okay, so very briefly. Yeah, I know. Well, no. They're moving.
Oh, they're moving. Okay.
Yes. It seemed like the way that the story was being conveyed that they were shutting down, but it's just from that building.
Amoeba Records, Sunset Boulevard location, RIP. Which
was so awesome building.
Yeah.
But real quick, my great Dave Grohl stories were obviously, I'm a huge Nirvana fan. Nirvana was probably the first band that felt like mine. I listened to oldies growing up, and I still love oldies to this day because with my parents and everything. But like Nirvana was like the thing I discovered and was different, and I still have a huge love for Nirvana. So I learned to play drums because of Dave Grohl, and then I moved on to guitar when the Foo Fighters album came out, and I learned by playing along with their self-titled debut. So anyway, I had an opportunity to go to a record or a release party. This is the brief thing I'll say. Met him there, told him I learned to play instruments from him, and he was like, dude, that means so much. I learned from Led Zeppelin. And we had like a moment. Meant a lot to me. Then a few years later, Zachy and I are at Amoeba Records, and he's in line next to me. And I was like, Like, I already had a moment with him, but I was like, I just gotta say something. I think I had just seen him live or something, so I felt like I had an in. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened. I've been around, like, Brad Pitt, like Angelina Jolie. I've been around these big stars, and they, like, held my own. I lost it. I just became, like, that nervous, stumbling idiot. I could not get my words out. My words were in my throat, and I was like, I saw you like a couple days ago. I love you, I think. And he could not have been cooler. Brought me in for a hug. Told me, like that he appreciated whatever. And then we walked out. And somehow I think you missed it. And I came out, and you're like, hey, all right, let's walk over this way. And I was like, I need a minute.
Yeah.
I just screwed up, Zachy.
I remember that was 17 years ago, if you can believe that.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
17 years ago?
Yeah. Crazy, right?
Holy cow.
Time, Brian, time moves in a linear fashion unless you are Bill and Ted.
Yeah. That was another hilarious line at the end. I don't remember it exactly, but Ted's handing out the instruments. He's like, oh, you should know I'm like an right. What does he say? Like, not interdimensional.
Infinite something.
I'm an infinite being.
Yeah.
Or something. And he's like, okay. And then just moves on. Oh, and speaking of Ted, that reminds me also, I didn't realize I wanted this, but when they were in hell, the whole group of them, and he and his dad have that kind of moment.
Yeah.
Where his dad finally, they sort of set up this thing at the beginning where his dad doesn't believe that he has done all the things that he's done. And then when he experiences it firsthand, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you. And they hug. I was like, oh, snap. I didn't realize.
Obviously, you have to write the song. So let's go get you to it or whatever,
Yeah, that was really nice.
It's easy to be cynical. I mean, again, I think you can say, well, like, did this movie need to exist? No, yes. In the sense that no movie needs to exist, right?
Right.
And I also, I don't think this is in any way going to play to somebody coming in cold.
Right.
I mean, it is very inside baseball.
Right.
But if you were somebody who was on board with those earlier two films, I don't see how this would be a disappointment. I mean, I haven't looked at the reviews, so I don't know what the where like Rotten Tomatoes landed on it, but
I think it's at an 81.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, for a movie like this, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you have any other spoiler things you wanted to say?
Well, I'll just say a couple of the nitpicks, and it's a little unfair. I'm going to start off by saying that. There were things that I couldn't help thinking. And one of those is just the look of the film threw me for a loop. I had to get used to it.
Okay.
And I think that's no one's fault. It's just modern filmmaking. But at the beginning of the movie, they show a clip from the original that was shot on film, and it just has a certain look. And this kind of, in a way, reminded me of what a lot of Netflix movies look like now, which is, very digital, and not a lot of close-ups, which I feel like this movie might have benefited from. You know, there's a lot of like medium shots, and I think sometimes it can be a criticism against a movie when you can feel a storytelling formula punching you in the face. Like, okay, well, they have to lose everything now because there's 20 minutes left in the movie, and then da-da-da-da-da. But I wouldn't have minded if they had punctuated a couple emotional moments more than they did, and I think it would have been as simple as a couple more close-ups.
It's interesting.
And taking like a few breaths when they had realizations, because this movie chugs. Like, it goes and it doesn't stop.
I believe, Brian, it's in real time.
You know what? Yeah, I didn't realize if they were doing that, because I think at the beginning they say they have like 70 minutes.
Yes.
Right? It's funny because, like I said, I watched it with my brother, and without me even saying that, he said the same thing. He was like, I just wish some of the weightier moments, they had just taken a moment to pause and let them drink it in, and I think some of the emotional things might have hit even harder in a way that would have really been nice.
Yeah.
But having said that, I read a bunch of interviews with the writers and director this week, and in both interviews, they were like, we had no money.
Yeah.
I think questions were, would you have liked to have done this, or did you have any other things in mind? And they're like, oh, we wanted to do lots of things. We had no money. And so having that in mind, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather it exist. Like,
sure.
If they didn't have the time, we've just got to shoot this thing with the time and the money we have, I'll take it. But it doesn't mean I didn't every now and then, you know, like, oh, you know what would have been nice? I did that a little bit, but honestly, I don't even care.
Well, and to that point, I mean, when you talk about the budget, $25 million, the shame of it is that had this movie gotten a full theatrical release, they would have made that back.
Oh, yeah.
Easily,
absolutely.
Comfortably, they would have made that back. And so that is kind of a bummer. So you hope that the VOD makes up for that.
Yeah. And, you know, something that I appreciated also, my last little nitpick, that I appreciated but also might have worked against the movie a little bit, I was amazed at how much was going on. Because you have Bill and Ted on their adventure, you have this killer robot following them, you have the daughters on their adventure, and then they kind of try to put the wives on an adventure, but I entirely lost the thread of the wives.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
I love that their wives meant more to them, like their families, I guess you could say, meant more to them than whatever their immediate adventure was. I thought that was really touching and showed a maturity to the characters that I liked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they just kind of ran out of time or whatever it was, and I'm not quite... I think the wives did go on an adventure, and I don't really remember what it was. But anyway, that sort of aside, I thought if you were going to come up with a plot for this movie, it's genius that it's about they didn't get the song, you know, after all this time.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of brilliant then to have the daughters go back and find the greatest musicians of all time, because that feels in the spirit of Excellent Adventure. You know, if you're going to come up with a song that unites the world, of course, with this universe, that makes absolute sense. Go get Louis Armstrong. Go get Mozart. Go get the first cave person who banged on the drums and was awesome at it. You know, I was like, that is really clever. And then I think the ending where it became about, you know, it wasn't, because then I was like, well, what are they going to do? They can't just make up a song. And it became less about the song and more about uniting all mankind together to play the same song. I was like, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a lovely solution to an almost impossible problem.
Totally.
Because how do you come up with that song?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I thought that was really it was touching. I was touched by it, and it's crazy. The ending's nuts. You know, where they're going through time.
Don't look for logic. I mean, that's what I would tell people. Look, this has the same level of logic as any of the time travel in the first one, and I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's where we're at. Like, you think too hard, your brain's going to start leaking out of your ears.
Yeah. Like, it's the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. Like, just go with it.
Just go with it.
Yeah, but I thought
William Sadler as Death, I want to mention.
Yes.
That guy did not miss a step.
No.
Like, 30 years later, he's playing the same guy. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought everybody was pretty good, and the daughters too.
Yes.
I thought they were both good, but I thought particularly Brigitte Lundy Payne.
Yes.
Played, I mean, was like Ted Jr.
Yeah, they both of them did an amazing job, but
Yes.
but I agree with you.
Really inhabited Ted.
Yeah,
I just thought that was really fun to watch.
It really masterfully evoked first movie Ted.
Yes, but it's especially first movie Ted. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, I also wanted to mention, this is like a random trivia point, but I feel like when it came to casting the wives, obviously these are not the same actors from or the princes in the first one. So the producers must have narrowcast to Kevin James love interests.
Both of them?
Yes, because
That's funny.
Yeah, because Jayma Mays, who's Bill's wife, she's in Paul Blart Mall Cop. She's the girl that he's in love with.
Oh, funny.
And then Erin Hayes, who's Ted's wife, she was on the most recent Kevin James sitcom, Kevin Can Wait.
Oh, okay.
She was his wife on that show. So I'm like, wow, that's like, I wonder if they, like, in between takes, they just swapped like Kevin James stories.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably.
Which is weird, actually, because Erin Hayes, she was on that show, and because that show lasted 2 seasons, they fired her at the end of the first season,
Right.
and they killed the wife off.
Right. Just so they could bring in. Oh, I'm sorry.
So they could bring in Leah Remini.
Yeah, and just basically make whatchamacallit again.
King of Queens.
King of Queens. Yeah.
The second, yeah. So it's very random, but I just thought that was amusing.
Yeah, and then we're sort of rattling off stuff about it. I loved the whole joke about when the Bills see each other, they're like really tight, like they hug each other, but like Ted has a hard time with himself. That was such a funny idea.
And then when he meets old Ted, he's talking about that. He's like, "Yeah, I never let me in," and
Yeah. That was so funny.
Very funny. I'm as I'm talking to you about it, so I'm like, yeah, I could watch this again.
Yeah, those characters are just so damn lovable, and I've always loved them, but it made me reevaluate just what a really charming lightning in a bottle pair those two are.
Yeah.
And yeah, seeing them, face off with themselves, and even seeing them, I thought there was something really lovely too about wherever they go, they're always together. Even in the retirement home, those two are right by each other's sides. And I was like, that's just sweet. I don't know.
I also think that where this movie ends, I'm like, okay, like that's it. We don't need any more,
Yeah.
And that's kind of an interesting thing too. Like, I feel like with a lot of these franchises, I've reached a point where I'm all about that solid ending, and just like leaving it alone.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Like I said, we didn't need a third Bill and Ted movie, but the one we got, I think, wraps things up in such a perfect little bow that it's like, all right, well, you guys did it.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I thought it was a really, again, even with budget in mind and not using that as an excuse, like it was really a fun, exciting climax having them on the freeway, playing the song and everyone playing along. And which, by the way, this is just a stupid Southern California note, but usually in movies, if there's like a freeway, it's probably going to be the 101 or it's going to be the 405. But there was a sign for the 210. I was like, the 210? Why would they? Oh, San Dimas.
Brilliant.
I was like, cool. I know where that is. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And it just makes me, now that I know where San Dimas is and everything, it almost makes it funnier where it's just kind of this suburb. It's not like Burbank or something that you hear all the time on television. And
yeah,
I love it when the prisoner Bill and Ted's, I think Bill had like an S and D tattooed onto his forehead. Just that San Dimas is such like a part of this mythos is hilarious.
Also, real quick, I'm glad that they found a way to weave George Carlin in. However briefly that was.
Really well done. I thought that was a good way to do it and have him in there. Yeah.
So I'm good. Do you have anything else to say, or?
No, I know we're obviously Bill and Ted heads over here, so it might sound super positive, but yeah, I loved it. I loved it, and I'll definitely watch it again.
Well, I think that's a good place to leave this episode, and our next episode will be another look at a time-traveling film, because we'll be doing a commentary track for Back to the Future.
I cannot wait. Wait, we have to share this joke. This was so funny. This is your joke. I said we were going to record it this week, and we decided we wanted to get Bill and Ted while it was fresh, and so... but right before we were about to record, I said, this might be the first commentary we do that I don't prepare for, like where I don't really need any notes or I don't need to read anything about it. And you said it was like Luke turning off his targeting computer. I was like, yeah, exactly.
I mean, this movie just exists within us,
I mean, yeah. I mean, my love for this just runs so deep, but also I am just enamored with the production of it. I mean, I've read so much and I love the history of it, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to just gushing over this with you.
I mean, this track is going to be as close as we get to commentary jazz, where we're just kind of let's just see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We got some cool. I'll preview. We got Back to the Future coming up, and then the one after that, I think we discussed, is going to be Darkman.
Yeah, Darkman.
So
I'm gonna have to revisit that one for sure.
That one will not be jazz, because we're gonna have to do some homework on that. But I'm looking forward to that regardless.
But that's gonna be sort of tapping into something I haven't thought about for maybe 25 years or something.
Let's see.
But in the best possible way, because I loved it when I was a kid.
Let's see where we end up.
Yeah.
So with that, as we wrap things up, anything you want to promote, Brian, while we got you?
Puppy Dog Pals, as always, episodes still dropping, and it's on Disney, Disney Plus, and Disney Junior.
And as for me, you can find me at my website, ZackisCorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. Also got some cool stuff at the San Francisco Chronicle. Most recently, I did a piece looking back at the 1970s Star Trek animated series, and got some interesting articles in the pipeline, so that's exciting. As far as the show, if you have any questions or comments for us, please go to iTunes and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. And you can also email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com, or hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. On behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 207, and as we go out, I wanted to share some audio from a commencement address that Chadwick Boseman gave at Howard University in 2018. And these words were profound then, but they are even more impressive and inspirational now, knowing that the man is gone. So here is Chadwick Boseman from 2018.
Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When I dare to challenge the system that would relegate us to victims and stereotypes with no clear historical backgrounds, no hopes or talents, when I questioned that method of portrayal, a different path opened up for me. The path to my destiny. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. God will move someone that's holding you back away from a door and put someone there who will open it for you. If it's meant for you, I don't know what your future is, but if you're willing to take the harder way, the more complicated one, the one with more failures at first than successes, the one that has ultimately proven to have more meaning, more victory, more glory, then you will not regret it.